everyone. What's going on? Everyone on YouTube, everyone on TikTok. We are going to talk about sugar. Okay. I know we're going to talk about all of this energy and this fiery energy and in Leo as well. We just finished the moon in Cancer. Now we're in the moon in Leo. And tell me you guys don't have a sweet tooth going on. Tell me you're not thinking about this. Doom, doom, doom. Yeah. You know what? Since I've been in Mexico, we're nomads. I am an astrologer. I do my job and a life coach and a clairsentient and remote viewing. And I got a psychology background and I do my readings on the road. When people say, oh, enjoy your vacation, Holly, I don't feel like, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm on vacation per se, but I feel like I'm just living in Mexico for 3 weeks. Last fall we lived in Myrtle for a month, and last year we lived in Mexico and Florida for 3 months, and soon in February we will be living in an RV going through Arizona and past for 3 months, and then maybe even 2 more months living in Vancouver. We've been doing this nonstop for 5 years, 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. We've been nomads. We sold our house. We have no intention on buying a house anytime soon because we're not going to get stuck in the matrix. And I want to teach you guys about your desires and your romantic views of what you want, because the moon is in Leo right now. We're going to do some free readings. So if you want a free reading, I want you to hang in there and I'll get all of your birth charts near the end. Okay. So we're going to talk for about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And then after that, so if you don't want to listen to my blah, 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 then come back in 20 minutes or so. And then you're going to add your birth data then. And I'll tell you when I'm going to put your birth data and your question in, and I'll start answering your questions for you. But I want to talk about desires. And most of my clients come to me because they desire more money. They desire a better job. They desire a bigger home. They want to move. I cannot tell you 95%, I'm exaggerating a bit, but they want to know about money and they want to know about romance, whether they should leave a relationship or if they're single, when am I going to be in a relationship? I'm only exaggerating a little bit. That's what most people want. And we are in the sign of Leo, the sun, and the moon. And we are also looking at, thanks, Linz. We're also looking at the future. And we only got about a week left of this because next week, all of the planets are going to converge into Capricorn, and that Capricornian energy. And remember, I do sidereal astrology. So if you follow Western astrology, you're going to be going, I don't know what you're talking about, Holly. I do astronomy astrology. I did Western for a couple of decades until I realized that we are not following where the actual stars are right now. You can see in the background here, this is Cancun, Mexico. This is where I am. I've been manifesting my life for 4 years. My husband and I have been manifesting our life for 4 years. This is a beautiful condo, and we manifested this. And this was the first year we spent 6 months in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And you want to hear something freaky? Okay. I didn't want to go home for Christmas. This is how we manifested this condo right now. I didn't want to go home for Christmas. I was just blues, no family, having some weird connections. I just wasn't into it. And so I said, we're going to stay here. We're going to go to Cozumel. The worst storm. I mean, it wasn't a hurricane, but it was pretty bad. It was flooded. I got on the boat to get to Cancun. I was throwing up because the boat was like, literally they stopped the ferry rides after that because it was so terrible. But this is how we manifested this one, okay, 4 years ago. So we go into the hotel and we can't do anything because it's piss pouring rain everywhere. The streets are flooded. Nobody can go anywhere. So I said, I'm going to the bar. And my husband, I'm tired. I'm going to take a rest. So he takes a rest. Now, what happens is I'm sitting at the bar. I'm just by myself having a drink. And this guy turns around. He goes, where are you from? And of course, me, I'm like, don't pick me up. I'm not in the mood. Okay. Like, whatever. So I said, Ontario. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, we're in Ontario. And I go, around Toronto. He goes, where around Toronto? I'm like, why are you asking me so many questions? I said, Kitchener-Waterloo area. Because most people don't know where that is if they're not from the area. He goes, oh, well, I'm from there, but I now live at such and such a place. I'm like, where? He goes, Guelph. I said, oh, wow. Okay, that's where me and my husband live. My husband lives there. So he tells me what his name is. And then he goes, what's your husband's name? And I told him, and he goes, do you know such and such a person? I'm like, my husband's talked about this guy because my husband was in a band, and he talked about this guy, his best friend that he had ever since he was 20. And it was that guy he was talking about. And I'm like, what? Okay. In Cozumel on an island at Christmas, we're both from Canada. We meet in this one bar in the same hotel. So then my husband, I call my husband up. I go, you got to get down here right now. He calls his friend Dean, that's his name, which was my husband's best friend growing up. And they start talking, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm back in the bar by myself again, except they're there, but they're blah, 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 right? Anyways, this guy owns a timeshare. And whenever we want, he gets his timeshares for like $100 a night. Canadian, not US. So this is like one of the biggest condos. If this was a condo, you'd be like a 1-bedroom condo, you'd be like, wow. I mean, the whole bathroom area is the size of a small apartment along the bedroom and this. And we're looking at the water. This is looking right onto the ocean. We got a place for a month in Florida through him. And right now we're looking at Hawaii for next year because he can get us a place there. What? I mean, we have to get the flight, right? He doesn't fly us here. But this is how we manifest, guys. This is how we manifest. Now, I could have been depressed and down and out and stayed in my room and didn't go and do anything. But we got to get out there. We got to put ourselves out there. Thank you for the likes and the taps. Hi, Randy. And I want to ask you guys, and put this in the comments. What is the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you? What is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you? Did you have a premonition? Did you have a near-death experience? Did you have something like what I just told you? I mean, that's weird. Okay, that's not a coincidence. What are the chances of something like that's called manifesting? And I've been manifesting ever since. We manifest, you object teleported. What does that mean? Object teleported. So you took an object and you teleported it somewhere? That is going to blow me away if you do that. I want to see it. I want you to put that on video and send it to me at askhollyhall.com. It was like a glitch in the matrix. Oh, so you did it like it happened like accidentally. You got to tell me that, Shitana. You got to tell me that one. And if you can get on live, my friend's phone teleported 50 blocks. We don't know how. Okay, there's a guy, I'm so terrible with names, but it was in I believe the 1960s or the 1970s, and it was well documented, and it was like a glitch in the matrix. He disappeared for, I don't know, it was 5 days, but several days he disappeared. Literally, everybody was out looking for him. And then he reappeared miles and miles away from where he was. He vaguely had a memory. He couldn't remember who he was or where he was from. And he was wandering around trying to figure out, how did I get here? Why am I here? And he felt like he was in the future at the time. So it's a true story. And to this day, they don't know how or where he went for 5 days and why he doesn't remember it and how he ended up millions of, thousands of miles away. And he wasn't hurt and he wasn't harmed. He was just disheveled a bit. So yeah, these strange things, your friend's phone 50 blocks away. That is crazy. What else? What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? The weirdest thing that's ever happened to you? And when I was, I think, 12, I believed that I could remote view. And a friend of mine says, oh, if you can do it, then can you tell me where something is? And hey, Abby. And I said, it's in a box. like, it's right there in that box. And she had one of those old, well, at the time it wouldn't have been old fashioned, uh, sewing boxes, where they kind of like are padded and they're about that big, and you lift up the top and all your sewing stuff is there and all your sewing stuff is in. I said, it's in there. And it was like a bracelet or a necklace she was looking for. And it was there. And she's like, why would that be in there? And how did you know? And I was like, ooh, but nobody talked about that then. Right. And I never really explored my remote viewing until I do it now all the time. And I even do it here on TikTok. I did it last night on TikTok. A client came, one of you TikTokers came in and asked me about something I'm doing my free readings in about 20 minutes. So yeah, it was like from Hastings and Commercial for 50th and Fraser in Vancouver. So even more than 50. Yeah, that is up very far. I always know where my dad's stuff is, or when my kids lose something. That's remote viewing. So I just did an interview with Nicola Farmer today. And Nicola Farmer is from the UK, and she teaches not blind kids, sorry. She teaches kids to read blindfolded. She's on the telepathy tapes. And if you guys don't know anything about the telepathy tapes, you better get on that YouTube channel and start listening to them, because you're going to recognize what your superpowers are. And the really cool thing is, and I manifest tiny things. Like sometimes I manifest tiny things and I'm like, why can't I manifest something way bigger than that? Like I will manifest getting on Jimmy Church. He's got about 130,000 followers on there. And Nicola Farmer was on there. And I said, how'd you get on there? And she's like, oh, here's the email. Boom. I was on within 5 days. And then while I was on the show and I got some business from it, he gave us free weekend tickets that are worth a few $1,000s to Arizona, to a huge conference there, spiritual conference. And a lot of my favorite people are going to be there. I'm so excited. But then I'm like, the hotels were so expensive. I'm like, holy crap. And then we have to drive there or we have to fly there, which was a ton of money too. And I'm like, if I'm going to Arizona, the most spiritual land in the United States, besides some places in New Mexico, I'm not just going to fly there and fly back. I got to stay. So what do? We went and got a 28-foot trailer. So we're going to go to New Mexico and we're going to explore that whole area and find the most cheapest, if we don't even boondock, places to stay. Now you're going to say, well, okay, hotels are expensive, but you just bought pretty much a $25,000 trailer, which is what we did. But we're going to sell it. 4 years ago, we bought a $25,000 trailer and we traveled with it for 2 years and then we sold it for $25,000. So basically for free, right? This is the kind of shit that we do. But we sold our house. We got a chunk of money in the bank, and that we haven't touched it. Well, we did touch it with the $25,000 trailer, but we've got something else we're going to sell. So once that sells, it breaks even again, right? You got to be smart. You can't be foolish, right? You ever notice if you want something, if you don't work towards it, the universe will force you. Okay, I do notice that, Shatana, in certain things. Would love to learn how when you tapped into your abilities, Holly. Okay, Britt, I'm going to answer that question for you very, very as briefly as I possibly can in a minute. So what happens with the universe is it does a weird nagging, though. It doesn't like it keeps showing you stuff on a silver platter over and over and over again, because otherwise we would just take that, right? That would be so easy to take what you want. Let's say I want a new car and somebody keeps showing up on your front door with a new car and you're like, nah, I don't want it. You're not going to do that. But the universe does it in different ways. So let's say you hate your job. You don't like your job. The universe kind of says, well, you're going to quit, or are we going to have you fired? Are we going to stress you out till you quit? And that is a way of helping you get what you want. Let's say you want to have the love of your life and you're unhappy in your life right now and you want to meet the love of your life. It may start to shift you and move you so that you change your story and your heart pain in order for you to level to the area of finding the love of your life. Okay, so you careful what you wish for, because you may have to do some shape shifting and go through some I don't know, I guess some people would call heartaches, or to have or lose your job in order to get that wonderful job that you've always wanted. So yes, the universe. So when I show people a time frame, like you've got between today, I worked with a client. I thought you've got between April 2nd and May 15th. This is a time frame when you can level up with your work, with your career. So these are the steps that I want you to take in order to do that. Well, she's not ready to do a couple of the steps. She's not ready for it. And she goes, but what if I don't do it? Then that means I just missed the opportunity, right? I said, no, because another cycle will come around and get you another opportunity to do that as well. And I'll give them the dates, and I say, contact me in those dates, have a mini reading with me, which are like $33, or have a full reading from me and we'll revisit it. But in the meantime, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a little bit of a hiccup, because that hiccup's going to teach you why you blocked yourself from having what you wanted this time around. What stopped you from having what you wanted this time around? We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that block, hopefully successfully. And when clients work with me, they are successful because they know exactly what to do, because it's a very confusing time for most people. They're not quite sure why they're going through heartaches or headaches or pains or whatnot, right? Now, when did I notice that I tapped into my ability? So that one time when I was about 12, and then when I was 13, I had at the time a famous psychic. My parents are hippies, and my parents, specifically my mom as well, did tarot card readings and tea leaf readings. She didn't do astrology. And she just did the hippie thing, right? They were party tricks, party fun stuff. She didn't do it for a living. My parents were business owners. And they had psychic friends, and they had a psychic friend that was very famous. And so my mom's friend wanted my mom to contact this psychic friend. And he said, there's a 13-year-old girl in your house right now. I want you to bring her to the phone. Well, I was it. So I get the phone, and he's like, she's going to ask you a question. You answer the question off the top of your head. So I'm like, so then my mom's friend thought I was psychic after that. She's like, what did it? And I thought I was just giving her common sense. Common sense. To me, it was common sense. And I didn't feel like I had psychic. So when I was in my 20s, I was talking to a very stoic English friend of mine, English man. And because I'm saying this because I was surprised that I said, I'm a very, very left-brained scientific person. And even though I was very creative too. And I said, if I can't see it in front of my face, my psychic abilities, my psychic visions, then it isn't real. So he goes, you would like astrology. So he says, I'll bring you some books tomorrow. I could not believe this guy even had these books. He gives me these books. I said, I'll read it to humor him, right? And I don't put anything off unless I've done my own studies. I could not put this book down. It's The Only Way to Learn Astrology by Marion Marsh and somebody MacGyver. And I'm aging myself. They did not have computers yet for the average person, not quite yet. And so I had to do this whole mathematical thing. And I picked it up and it hasn't stopped. I got endorsed about 10 years ago from someone who's rather famous, Dr. Shefali. And I've been busy ever since. And the more that I work, the more that my remote viewing took me about a year before I realized I had that gift, because I would use things as metaphors or examples. I'd be like an example, if you and your husband did this and did that, and they'd be like, Holly, we literally did exactly that. Like literally, I had a client and I said, it's like if you guys go on vacation, like let's say you go to the Bahamas and you start fighting because you want to go go on bus tours and go on museum tours, and he just wants to sit around the pool and drink beers. And she's like, we literally went to the Bahamas 2 weeks ago, and that's literally what happened. I ended up going on these excursions by myself, and he ended up drinking out at the bar around the pool. I was like, and this happened too often, like way too often. I would use examples, or I remember a client. She was Mexican. She lived in California, but she was Mexican, and she goes, it's like you see me a fly on the wall." I'll never forget that. It's like you see me a fly on the wall, because I was saying verbatim things that she was saying verbatim, word for word, to her husband the night before. I can remote view. A lot of times I do it with work employees, like people that you work with. And I'll be going, "This is what your boss looks like." I had one where I said, "Your boss has," and I'm going to be doing free readings in about 5-10 minutes. And we are going to, so I'll let you know when I want you to put the birth dates up. Okay. And I said, "Your boss is like tall and skinny, and he's in a gray suit." I don't know, like, who wears, suits anymore unless you're a lawyer? And she wasn't a lawyer. But I said, "He's in a gray suit, and I see his feet up on the desk. So maybe he's a little pompous. He thinks he's all that." And a bag of chips. So I was seeing it like, I thought it was just a vision that was giving me an example of his personality. And she said, "Holly, he has a gray suit in his office. He puts it on every day in the morning and takes it off, changes back into his what clothes he's going to wear when he goes home. And he has his feet on his desk all the time." I was like, so that happened too many times. So that's when I started developing the remote viewing. I can't do it on will. I can't do it. Like, you can't just say, "Can you remote view where my daughter is right now? She's in California and I live in New York. And what is she doing?" I can't do that. Right. It comes as I'm working with my clients and as we're talking. I can see people passed on, not always so. I have a client who literally contacts me once a month so that I can connect with her spouse that has passed on. And there's a huge karmic dynamic going on there. His adult children are still alive. They're reconnecting with her. I saw this all happening. I can see trinkets that are around his house that he needs to, like, I saw a big box of coins, and I told her where it was. So she found it, and I thought the coins were worth a lot of money. So she sends me a picture of all the coins dumped down and the bills dumped down. She showed me the box, kind of looked like the one I was thinking about. And then she found a second box, and because I said there's another one somewhere else, so she did that, and she dumped. And there's nothing wrong. There was nothing special about the coins at all. I said, I don't know why he wanted. There's nothing special. Nothing's worth anything. I looked it up. Nothing's worth any money. Anyways, she ends up showing his son who came over for Christmas, and he was blown away. He goes, "This is my coin collection when I was a kid. Do you know how much this means to me?" Now, his dad was an alcoholic, and his kids have a very bad childhood because of his alcoholism, and he died of alcoholism. And this was his second wife, my client. So he's healing them from up there. Yeah, they're connecting. They're living through their father, through her, because she was with him for 5 years prior to him passing away. They don't get along with his mother's. Their mother is angry and bitter, and yeah, that's what can happen. And this is the type of work I do, and I love it, and I love it, and I want to do this kind of work with you guys right now. So if you're on YouTube, ask Holly Hall, or you're on TikTok, put in your birth date right now and ask me a question. If you can give me a question, I can give you a direct answer. And that's the best bang for your buck, which is costing you zero right now. AskHollyHall.com is where you can get a reading. I love learning about all this kind of stuff. Thank you, Abby. And the more you do it, like, people say, how can I develop it? You just do it. Like, the more you do it, the more you do it. So my friend, who is the telepathy tapes, who teaches kids to read blindfolded. I was born legally blind. But I had surgery in my early 40s, and now I need reading glasses. And but I lived my entire first 5 years of my life only seeing shadows and light, basically. I could see big fuzzy color. And if the colors were too close, like if I was wearing this and I was 5 years old with the blindness I had, I wouldn't even see this. I would just see, oh, I wouldn't even see my hair or my glasses. I would just see a big blob of skin color. That's it. Even the background would barely be there because all the colors are too close to each other. And so I developed a keen sense of a lot of different things. I developed a lot of different senses. But so what I do now, because I'm trying to learn to see with being not seeing, when I'm in the dark and I know that I have something on the table and it's like pitch dark, like beside my bed, I want to see it. Like I'm instead of going, or turning on the light, I'm like, I'm going to see if I can see it. And I just put my hand out and I want to see if it's the first thing I grab, right? I'm about 50-50, maybe even 60% of the time I get it right away. And I can kind of see it too, which is pretty cool. Anyways, October 17th, 72, there's no question. Will I be successful in my field and when? So I'm going to answer that one because you have a question. And I really appreciate questions because we can get right down to the nitty gritty. And so April 18th. And if you do have a question, because you really want to have a reading, you got to put your whole birth date and everything all over again. Okay? Like, what success am I going to be in? That's pretty general. Even this field I'm in, like you're not telling me the field you're in. You guys don't understand astrology. It's not 100% psychic. It needs to be navigated. Like, what house am I going to look at? What planets am I going to look at? Because we could go on and on and on talking. And if you have your time of birth, that's helpful because I can look at the house placement too. But sometimes something just stands out right away, and it might for you. You've got a really karmic life in this lifetime, Linz, and it does talk in tarot. It does make it difficult for you because you've chosen a lifetime where you want to skip a grade. That means you want to learn a whole lot. You almost want to learn 2 lifetimes worth of lessons in one. And when I say lessons, I don't want you guys to look at this as a terrible thing. If you decide to take a course on horseback riding and you're going to have lessons, I got a horseback riding lesson. Do you look at that as a bad thing? Yeah, you're going to be challenged. Yeah, you're learning something new. Yeah, you're probably going to be sore for a while because you're not used to horseback riding. But they're cool lessons because you signed up for it, right? So this is what I'm looking at. You're looking at a one lifetime of lessons. And karmically, one of them came from a brother, one of them came from a father, and one of them is very much with a sibling. I don't know who that sibling is. One is very much with a sibling. And you've got a karmic past life, specifically the strongest is with your mother. Okay. And you have many, many lifetimes with that mother who you felt was very critical, very criticizing, hard on you. And it made you had this sense of abandonment, and you literally had to survive your childhood, which means there was some sort of abuse or anger or like fighting, really almost dangerous, almost a dangerous childhood that you experienced. But you do have strong psychic abilities. You've got Neptune is hitting all of your planets. Okay, it's hitting your Venus, your Sun, your Mars, and your Mercury. Remember, I do sidereal astrology, not Western astrology. And because you've got Neptune there, you've got a very, very psychic ability, except you're critical. You're like me. You want to feel it, touch it, or it doesn't exist. You're very visual. So if you do the tarot cards, as it looks like you do, then I don't want you to look at the tarot cards and read it verbatim from what you've read in a book. I want you to use your imagination. So it's probably better if you get off of the Rider deck and you either create your own tarot cards, or you even use the old-fashioned tarot cards, except for in Italy and that where they sort of began. is the just a deck of cards. Because I want you to use your imagination. And if you or use a deck of cards that are not where everything is, because Rider is very like it does this, it does this, it does this. Your imagination needs to come into play because that's where your psychic ability. If you lean too much on the logic, it's going to be difficult for you. So when do I see success for you? There's nothing is standing out right now. That doesn't mean you don't have it. I'd have to dig deeper into your chart. And even knowing the time of your birth might be a little bit helpful, but not necessarily. There's nothing that's standing out. I could look at your ascendant. I could look at your MC if I knew your time of birth. We're going to go to Asha, but hopefully what I just said is enough for you. And Asha says, why am I experiencing mental blocks around my spiritual growth in this period? Well, the first thing is there's a lot of planets in Sagittarius right now, and it's kind of a parade. And this is difficult for someone like yourself because you're finding yourself very scattered. Like you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And you can't focus. You're almost like in a hyper ADD, ADHD period right now. We don't have the time of your birth either, which is fine. But I'm going to look at, So this Sag energy, remember I do sidereal astrology, and you are a Sag, but you are at 29 degrees. Okay, so 29, you would think you're Capricorn, but you're not. Or Aquarius, sorry. But anyways, you're Sag at 29 degrees, which means you come here with a very special skill set. This is called a king planet. There's another fancy name for it that I always forget, but you're 29 degrees. So you are here to develop a new philosophy, a new religious belief system, not based on religion, based on your belief system. Most likely you were raised in a strong religious or a dogmatic system or cultural system where you felt like you had to adhere to it, and then you started questioning it in your teens. And you didn't want to fall into it at all because you cannot fall into the trap of control, and you don't want any system that resembles control. So that was the few things. Your North Node, which is our destiny planet, means you need to be self-employed. You need to work for yourself. And this is the year you're going to make money. This is the year that you're going to be successful. It already started a year ago, but you're trapped in the making sure that, what do you call it? Slave to the wage, right? You feel I'm a responsible, reliable person if I stay in a job where I am able to get a steady paycheck. And the last year has been trying to push you out of that over and over and over again. So if you're not self-employed, I would, between now and June, get that self-employment started. Yes, you've got a scattered energy. You're a free bird. You're a free spirit. You will always have a scattered energy. You want to remotely work. You'd rather work on your own remotely and travel. You love to travel. You love to learn. And you're a teacher, but you're not a teacher to students. You're a teacher to other teachers. You are the teacher of teachers. Okay, now you're fairly young. So you want to develop, and you're someone that is born for the future. So some of what's happening, some of the skill sets that you have is not accepted in mainstream right now. So accept that you're scattered, that you have a scattered energy, that you're constantly wanting to learn and expand your field of thought, and that you need to be self-employed. I hope that resonates with you. And this is a year between now and June. But the thing is that scattered energy, that mind going bling, 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 that's really getting in your way right now, and you're quite confused. But that was mostly last year. It's this year is going to be a lot better for you. Cindy, I'm going to get to you. If you was in the GATE program, you highly intelligent, I was. What does that mean, Toby? Toby Bobby. I don't know what that means. I know that the Stargate program is the remote viewing program, but I'm not that good. at it, not at remote viewing. Anyways, the way they were trained. Thanks so much. I actually don't know my time of birth. Unfortunately, I have been looking. Okay, hopefully Asher says yes, yes. Abby says, what would my education look like going forward? Environmental technician program, February 1st, 2000. Gate program all the way. You're special. Thanks, Toby. And they know it. Thanks, Toby. Research it. I'm thinking you're thinking the Stargate program. Okay, so I haven't heard back about what Asha is saying in response. And I want to just take a look at my YouTube and see if anybody is adding anything there. Okay, Randy, you're definitely next. Holly, there is a bit of synchronicity between you and the Chris Bledsoe interview that dropped with Jesse Michaels today. Well, Randy, I interviewed Chris Bledsoe. So I'd love to know that connection. And I'm going to see him in Arizona. And I seen him I got a picture. Go on my website. I got a picture of me and him together. And he remembered me. He remembered the interview. I interviewed him before he blew up and before he ended up on Gaia. So that's about 2 years ago, the interviews. And there's 2 of them on there. I'd like to know what you mean by the synchronicity of it. He's more religious. So his astrology, I mean, he's okay with astrology, but he's not like 100% there. But I think he's slowly being more okay with other abilities that might go against religion, right? Do you see any opportunities for me in regards to self-employment? I would like to build a sustainable income, but I have limitations to my health due to age and hard living. Okay, so let's look at June 15th. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you guys is money isn't going to mean anything soon. The whole monetary system, struggling with religion and what I know, wondering if I'm doing something wrong. No, you're not doing anything wrong. I want you to look at the Essenes. Asha, I want you to research the Essenes. Greg Braden talks a lot about it. I want you to research the Ethiopian Bible. Okay, the Ethiopian, they have, what is it? 19 books. So I think there's like 8, I might be wrong. It's 8 books or 18 books that's missing. And money is nothing now. Yeah, money won't be anything. And I want you to research Edgar Casey. I don't know why that popped up, but research Edgar Casey. I'm starting to listen to his audiobooks soon. So June 15th wants to know, and Cindy, if you're still here, let me know. And I will take a look at general success for you. But you know what? This is like a fluffy, you guys are just getting like the real basics in today. What does that mean, in today? I like Jesse Michaels. I watched some of his interviews. You guys are going to see me pop up the interview with Nicola Farmer. It should come up tomorrow. You and Chris seem to share the same view regarding manifesting and spirit guys. Oh yeah. Yeah. His are angels. He's actually very much against that. The globes, the orbs that he's seeing are not aliens. They're angels. And I do kind of lean towards that now that I've done more research on what aliens really are. Those are angels. And I've seen the orb with Chris at a presentation he did on the rooftop, which I manifested too, because we went to the PSI games and I'll probably go to the next one in Charlottesville, Virginia. And we didn't pay like the VIP tickets. So only the VIP people could go up. But I knew two of the judges, and she's just like, just go with me. And I tried to go the first night and they go VIP. Nope. And I got turned around. And then when I went with the other one, she goes, she's with me. And I got to go, I got to see. So I saw all these little ones. I wasn't convinced. But he was, because he said that's what they were. But the big, I saw the big, it was undeniable. Okay. So if you haven't had a full reading with Holly, go to her website and book. I have, and it was amazing. Thank you, Wendy. I've done a few readings with Wendy, and I think Wendy found me on TikTok as well. Yeah. Yeah. Also, where will I be in the next 10 years? Does that work? So here I was born. Hey, I was born at 4:55 a.m. Okay, we're gonna have to do a reading for Cindy. Cindy Bindi. I got a really good friend named Cindy, and I call her Cindy Bindi. Okay, so when will I want you to get your mindset out of the monetary system. And I know it's hard. It's even hard for me to wrap my head around. But I've always said I would do this for free or exchange. Okay, so as for you, this is your year. Randy, this is your year. You got 1 year of it. You got a manifesting year. I've done a reading for you, so you know all this stuff already. But you are struggling with the monetary part of it. And that's going to be throughout the whole summer. But you've got 3 out of 4 planets are in your favor. Those odds are very, very good. The one block that you got to get rid of is that I need money to have things. I need money to have stuff. I just got free tickets and that's how you found me, Randy, because I was on Jimmy Church show. And after I was on that show, he goes, I'm going to give you tickets to Arizona. I'll see you there. And I was like, what? Because I said, we're thinking of going, but we're trying to figure out, financially how we can make it work. And you guys would think like, oh, I got a chunk of money in the bank, so you should use that. No, we can't, right? This is the money we got to live off of for the rest of our life. So we cannot spend it. Luckily, I make money and my husband has a retirement. So we got to live off of that. And this has to be our nest egg in case my daughter needs money to put us in a home. But it's definitely a security blanket of sorts, right? But I've been doing this long before that. I've been manifesting before we did all of that. So you want to get in that mindset, Randy, because I'm going to give you the dates of where you're going to be able to start your own business. But your business is working by helping people do what you did. So were you in construction? Were you in a factory setting? Were you in a setting where you also, have you ever been a musician? Did you ever do music on the side? Landscaping, all this kind of stuff, right? Even if you did accounting, on the side for friends and stuff like that, these are all the businesses that you can do well on your own. And if you've got health I'm going to give you guys all a big giant tip right now that's going to save your freaking lives. Okay. And then Randy, I'm going to give you some dates. Cindy, I'm still going to get to you. If I did originally find you here on TikTok and now I'm a member of your manifesting group too. Yeah. You guys ask HollyHall@gmail.com if you want to get in my manifesting group. We're trying Discord right now, but there's not a lot of engagements. Cindy, I'm going to get to you next, but I'm not chatting with you right now. So Randy and everybody I'm talking to, I went on what's called an autoimmune protocol diet. I have had autoimmune issues my entire life. I was born with childhood arthritis as well as being legally blind. I started getting arthritis. I had 3 major car accidents. One when I was 7, one when I was 12, and they both cracked my head open. And one when I was 21, and that was a huge head injury. And I needed a cane for 2 years. In fact, they said I'd probably never walk the same again, but I'm fine. And, I had a lot of things, just like everybody else does. And I had thyroid crash when I was 29. I ended up in a semi-coma at the age of 29, 30, and all this crazy thing. So it took me a long time. I went into early menopause at 41, and all these things created all this PTSD in my system, in my central nervous system. So 2 years ago, I went through a Uranus opposition, not the funnest thing in the world to go through in your life. Coming back from Mexico after 6 months, and I crashed. I got sick 3 times in a row. One of them was Epstein-Barr's. I found out 6 months later, and 2 of them was probably COVID. And my thyroid, my autoimmune system couldn't handle it. I was drinking wine almost every night, okay? And sometimes a couple of glasses, sometimes more. I was not eating a lot of sugar. I was vegan, so I didn't have any protein, good source of protein in my diet. And my body couldn't handle all of it. Plus, I was going through an enormous amount of stress that was triggering childhood trauma, an enormous amount of stress triggering childhood trauma. So, what happened was after a year and a half, and I cured myself, my doctor said, "You're going to be down for the count for 10 years," because my adrenals started shutting down. And I couldn't even get 10 minutes of energy out of me every day. But I worked, I was still working, and I didn't talk about it because I was afraid of my clients thinking I was less than because I was not well. And I took a year and a half. I learned about my central nervous system. And then I learned about AIP. The arthritis went away. The panic attacks went away. The anxiety went away. The hives that I had on my legs went away. The sores that I had on my head went away. What do you call that? Eczema. I started getting bliss. And I just did this about 4 months ago. I was doing it off and on, but I couldn't really stick to it. I kept cheating every once in a while because you can't have alcohol, you can't have gluten, you can't have sugar, you can't have a lot of things that are inflammatory. But I went 3 months full on just the last, throughout the fall. And I've never been happier. I was never the happiest. I was so happy. All my agitations, my irritations went away. I've still had the sadness that was going on in my life that was being triggered, but everything, I don't know, I was just like even keel. Now, guess what? I come to Mexico. My daughter loves her sweets. I start having a few drinks. I start eating a bunch of junk food. I'm still eating junk food because I know I'm going to go back and we're going to go right back on the diet again. And I'm not going to do this again. This was a celebration. There was a lot of wonderful things that's happened recently. So I just went with it, but I'm going to go back on it because I'm achy. I'm sore. I'm a little bit irritable. The negative thoughts are coming back again. So if you really want to get back on your health, you got to look at the AIP diet. You eat meat, you eat fish, you can't eat cheese, can't eat gluten. You eat fruit, you eat vegetables. There's certain spices you can have. You can't have potatoes, you can't have lectin stuff, but it's amazing difference it made in my spiritual self as well. So I'm actually looking forward to going back on it. I can't wait. I'm starting on Thursday. 2 more days. We're just going to kick this off and then I'm back at it again. I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to be miserable for a few days. So the dates that I'm going to give you, Randy, in 2026, it starts for you in mid-March. And then there's another one for you in May. And there's another one for you and I'm telling you, and then the magic wand phase or the manifesting stage for you starts in, oh my gosh, June, July, and August. So you got to work this one. I know we're going to have another session soon. Maybe you want to move it up into an hour one because I want you to get all of these dates set or just get a 15-minute one with me so I can just go blah, 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 blah for 15 minutes because people tend to talk to me a lot in that 1 hour and you're not getting all of me, right? So when you do a 15-minute session, which is just a mini reading I email to you, I record, you get only me talking, which is super cool. Well, Chris and I can't do 2 people on my lives because it's really time consuming. So you get a mini reading, send both the dates with the question, 15 minutes, and you're good. It's called AIP Diet, where to find it, info. Oh my God, we got ChatGPT, we got YouTube, we got Google. Look up AIP Diet. Yes, you can find it. And I like to lean towards raw. My digestive system likes raw because it just digests it really fast, right? You digest fruit within 40 minutes and vegetables within 40 minutes when you eat only raw. But you got to be careful because some raw foods can be hard. So I'm going to be going 80%. And then I'd rather use bone broth, like chicken bone broth, powder, which is just pure. And I can't really do red meat because that's just me. And I have those in my shakes. So I'll have a fruit shake in the morning and I put about 40 grams of protein in that. And then sometimes I'll eat fish in the afternoon, which will be another later in the day, which will be another 40 grams. So I try to get 80 to 100 grams of protein if I can. And then all the rest is like a giant freaking giant salad, giant fruit bowl, tons of fruit inside my shake, right? Giant shake in the morning. And it's yum, 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 yum. I keep telling Cindy that I am going to go back to her askhollyhall.com for it. So I'm going to do that now. Third grade. I'm 51. Oh, cool. I don't know what that means. Cindy, Abby, you're next. Cindy, I can't find you. Okay, there it is. October 17th, 72. Wants to know if she's going to be successful. AskHollyHall.com. I'm here every night. I won't be here Thursday though, guys. I thought I was going to be home in time Thursday, but we're actually flying at 8:00 at night till midnight. So I'll be in the air. So I won't be doing this Thursday, but I'll be back on Friday. Okay. Oops. And I'm just going to be on for a few more minutes now. 4:55 a.m. AskHollyHall.com is where you can get a reading done. Wendy highly endorsed me. She's in here. She's one of my clients. She's in my manifesting group. Every day in my manifesting group, I give you guys homework to manifest. What's the homework that I did today? Oh, this is the homework that I did today. This one's really cool. Where is it? The beauty of having choices is also the burden. Every option asks something of us. The more choices we have, the more problems we have. That sounds crazy. So I asked my manifesting group, how does this resonate with you? How does that sit with you today? And there's crazy little things that teach us about manifesting. I also have, I should do that actually. I do a roll call all the time of gratitude. So the roll call of gratitude. Those are all manifesting. We think it's supposed to be more magical than that, but it's not. You're making a choice. You are executing that choice. You manifested it. Okay. What does the word manifest mean? Can somebody tell me? Look it up. I like looking up the origin of words. So we're looking at you got your king planet is in Virgo 20, and you're the optimal problem solver. You're an amazing problem solver. You need to be self-employed, but you're a people pleaser and you're very hard on yourself. This is 28 degrees Leo. I'm not seeing, there's nothing really standing out. You got Uranus in the 9th house, which means you're looking at education, or you're educating yourself right now. You're going through an education process, or you're looking at wanting to educate yourself further. There is Pluto's not going there. Mercury just went over you got a bunch of little planets going over your north node. You're here to learn freedom by making sure that life is fair for you. Don't make sure life is fair for everybody else. You do that. You're too much trying. You're doing the job. You're responsible. You're reliable for your parents. You're responsible, reliable for your in-laws. You're responsible and reliable for the people that you work with. And you're always the one that steps up to the call of duty tenfold. Like if somebody says, who can do this job? Me, I can do it. I want you to do the power of pause, Cindy. Cindy, the more that you pause before you say yes, whether it's a small thing like, can you grab me a cup of coffee while you're out for lunch, to something large, can you take over Mary's job next weekend or next week, or do you want to go to Jones's on the weekend? You give yourself time to think about it. You need to weigh things out. Because if you don't, you're an instant yes person. That gets you in trouble over and over and over again, because then you don't want to, and you do this with your family a lot, and you do it at work a lot. So you're going to be much more successful if you're self-employed or if you're in a management position. I'm not seeing anything detrimental happening right now, but I'm not seeing anything stand out either. I'd have to do a deeper search, which takes me a lot longer to do. But if you're going through any troubles or trials or tribulations right now, it has nothing to do with what's happening temporarily in your life. It has, well, a lot of planets are in Sag, so they're not really benefiting you right now. But it has to do with the culmination of life lessons that you have. You've got some PTSD about constantly being reliable and responsible and doing the right thing and people pleasing. And that gets you in trouble. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry, I guess that doesn't really give you a whole lot. Oh my God, everything is right. And my brain just won't settle. Okay, Asha. Asha, you want to take a look at, who did I just do a reading for before? Oh, Randy. Randy, you got to take a look at your adrenals. Okay, your adrenals are highly affected. Karen says, hi, Holly. I would love a reading. Date of birth. Okay, you're next. Is July 27, 50, born late in Hamilton. Will I be able to move this spring and get out of this tense situation? I love that. Thanks. I changed my food habits. I will change my food habits. Utility locator worker in GIC, no music, but love it immensely. Okay, great. So let's look at July 27. You have had in your past life, July 27, you were in almost like incarcerated, or you were not because it was your fault. Okay, so don't jump the gun there. Or you were like in an orphanage type of situation. And so there's this constant feeling, July 27th, that you're alone and abandoned and you're trapped and you're victim to other people's circumstances. Like this is your whole freaking life. Okay, let me see if you gave me your time of birth. No, but that's okay. We will look at other circumstances. AskHollyHall.com is where you can get a reading. I'll be live again tomorrow night and then Friday. I have to skip Thursday. And I'm going to sign off soon. Oh my gosh, you're ADD and ADHD. You are a firehouse. You've got millions of things going on at one time. You're multitasking. If you start a bunch of stuff and you don't finish it, don't worry about it, because you're just a curious person who just needs to learn more things. And once you learn it, you move on to the next thing. And you don't need to finish everything. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't finish everything. Yes, it's been a difficult couple of years. We don't have your time of birth, so I don't know. Your moon is in Gemini in sidereal astrology. And if I know the time of your birth, I've got you at 5 a.m. If you're born in the morning, it might not be ending soon. If you're born really early in the morning, it might be already over. You do have a manifesting stage coming. And so if you're going to move homes, it's going to be during that time. So I would say you can be a bit of a slow mover, right? You take your time, you're very cautious. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in May of this year. And if you wait, then it'll be very sudden and unexpected. By the end of the year, you're done. But this is your choice. This is your choice. So I hope that helps you with that situation. Let me see here. Feedback, askhollyhall.com. And okay, well, thanks everyone. I really enjoyed it. Cindy gave me like this heart thing, but I'm not sure if that resonated with her, what I'd said, even though it was kind of mild. So I apologize for that. Thanks everyone on YouTube And we will see you tomorrow. If you have a subject that you'd like to ask me about, whether it's global or whether it's about, learning things, or it's about the spiritual world, put it down there in the comments and let me know what you want me to talk about, and I will talk about it. Love you all. Namaste.